what socialism really means, and why it matters right now. Welcome back to another episode of Spin Cycle America, where we talk about what really is going on in America or in the world around us today. Today and this week, we are going to hit a little bit about history. Not many people really understand socialism, so we're going to talk about it. I'm your host, Todd, so let's get at it. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the very first episode of our new series on the real cost of socialism. I'm a Republican. I think everybody by now has probably realized that. I try to hit down the middle, but today I want to hit something a little bit home, okay? And like most of you, I'm watching parts of the Democratic Party shift further and further left, with more voices openly embracing socialist ideas. They promised equality, free stuff, and fairer system. But history and economics tell us a very different story. And that's kind of what we're going to hit going further into this week. This whole week, all 7 days, from now until next week, we're going to cover socialism. So today, we're going to start at the beginning. What socialism actually is, what it promises, and why we need to pay attention before it gains more ground here in America. Stick with me. This series is going to be an eye opener. So let's define socialism. Let let's be clear from the start. Socialism is an economic system where the government or the collective own and control the means of production, the factories, the land, the big businesses, the energy sector, and so on. So what do you own? Well, nothing really. You just work it. You work the land, you work the factory, you work the businesses, you work the energy, but you don't own it. The core idea comes from thinkers like Karl Marx. Private property and profit are the problem. Instead, the state should plan the economy and distribute the resources from each according to his ability, to each according to his need. So again, let me reiterate that and say that again. Distribute resources from each according to his ability and to each according to his needs. So I hope you got that. So you're going to get what you need according to your ability and according to your needs. So, but how would they know what my ability or what my needs are? So there are different flavors of socialism. So hardline authoritarian versions that we saw in the Soviet Union, Mao's China, and Cuba. Democrat, the democratic socialism that says we can get there through voting and gradual takeovers, and then socialist or social democracy, places like Sweden and Denmark that still run on capitalism with high taxes and welfare. A lot of people confuse the last one with real socialism. They are not the same. So the key test is this. Does the system heavily rely on central planning and government takeover or ownership in major industries? If yes, we're talking socialism. Now, supporters will often say that's not real socialism. Whenever it fails, so again, let me reiterate that. So supporters will often say that that's not socialism when it fails. So if it fails, it's not real socialism. Okay, well, we're going to talk about that. We're going to mention that here in just a little bit. But we keep seeing the same pattern repeat itself, regardless of the label. That's what this series is about. looking at the actual results, not the slogan. So the promise versus the track record. Socialism always sounds great on paper. I mean, a lot of things sound great on paper. It's like being a football coach. Hey, this play sounds great on paper until we put it into practice, and then it might not work. Uh, no one, no more greedy corporations. Everyone gets what they need. No poverty. But in practice, we've seen shortages of basic goods, empty shelves, no medicine, no food. Economies that should be rich collapse into poverty. Millions of people suffer or they flee. We're going to talk about that. Here's one recent example: Venezuela. It had the world's largest oil reserve and was once the richest country in Latin America. Let me rephrase: it was once the richest country in Latin America. Then socialist policies, massive nationalization, price control, huge government spending kicked in. Today, it's humanitarian disaster with hyperinflation, widespread poverty, and millions of refugees. That wasn't caused by outside forces alone. It was policy. We'll go much deeper into Venezuela, the Soviet Union, Cuba, and others in future episodes. The point today is these aren't isolated accidents. There are structural reasons why this keeps happening. Why this matters in America today. So why talk about this now? Because we're seeing increasing support in parts of the Democratic Party for bigger government control, massive redistribution, and policies that move us closer to socialist thinking. Some openly call themselves democratic socialists. You see that in New York right now. The vote changed, shifted. New York. Everybody over there, the government is turning socialist over there. Ouch. Are you afraid yet? I think I am. Just a little bit. I want to keep the money I earn. I don't want to give it to anybody else. Bad enough I have to pay taxes. Taxes on things I shouldn't have to. I'm not saying every Democrat wants full socialism, but when ideas like government takeover of key industries or treating private success as inherently suspicious gain traction, we need to learn from history. That's what history's for. Apparently, we don't do a good job on this part, learning from history. People may not like or understand history, but we learn from it so we don't make the same mistake over and over and over from the past, or from other countries, or from what others have done. That's what history tells us. America's strength has always come from free enterprise, property rights, innovation, and individual opportunity. Those incentives built the most prosperous society in human history. When you weaken them, you slower growth, less innovation, and more dependency. So in closing today, let's look. Socialism intentions may be compassionate, but good intentions don't override incentives, human nature, or basic economics. Over the next several episodes, we're going to examine the evidence, the calculation problems, the body count, the escape stories, and what it means for our country. If you want the truth about where these ideas lead, hit subscribe turn on notifications, drop a comment. What worries you most about the shift toward socialism in America? Which topics should we cover next? Share this if you think people need to hear this or see this. And again, thanks for watching day one. I'll see you on the next episode where we dive into one of the biggest socialist experiments in history. Stay informed, stay free. God bless. See you all on the next episode of Spin Cycle America, and you all have an outstanding day.